Today, we're talking the top buys and sells for fantasy football ahead of week 6. And when you're making your deals this week, be sure to use our trade calculator at yardsperfantasy.com. It's fully customizable, it's free to use, and you'll never lose a trade again. Find it now at yardsperfantasy.com/trade-calculator. The panic alarm is ringing across the fantasy community for anyone who drafted Breece Hall. That's when those of us who were savvy enough to draft Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jamar Chase ahead of him can swoop in and take advantage. The numbers have been ugly, I know. He's reached 100 total yards just once in 5 games, and he's combined for 55 total yards over the last 2. Braylon Allen has been a thorn in his side, and he's the RB13 in fantasy points. However, things are not as bad as they appear. Breece Hall has dipped below a 70% snap share just one time this season, and that was 69%. His 73.6% snap share in week 5 was actually his highest since week 1. And that coincided with Braylon Allen's 26.4%, which was his lowest since week 1. Ignore the noise. This is not a backfield that is shifting towards Braylon Allen. Breece Hall accounted for 65% of the running back opportunities in week 5, which was right on par with his season-long 67% opportunity share. Hall continues to dominate the passing downs work as well, which is really important for those of us who are playing in PPR formats. He ran 33 routes in week 5 to Braylon Allen's 6, and he doubled Allen's targets. And looking ahead, the Jets' upcoming schedule has some very favorable matchups for Breece Hall. 8 of their next 11 opponents rank in the top 12 of most fantasy points allowed to running backs this season. That includes matchups in the fantasy playoffs against the Jaguars, who give up the 5th most points to running backs this year, the Rams, who give up the 7th most, and the Bills, who give up the most. That's a big improvement over playing the defenses who rank number 1 and number 2 in EPA per play over the last 2 weeks. So buy low on Breece Hall from the panicked and struggling manager in your league. We know the league winning upside is there, and you can get him at a major discount. I know things weren't quite as rosy in week 4 against the Giants, but the Seahawks have been a fantasy points machine over the first month of the season. And Kenneth Walker has been a big part of that. The Seahawks have put him in position to be a league-winning running back. He's dominating the work in that backfield with a 69% opportunity share on the season. He's even getting the passing downs work, which is a huge step forward from his first 2 seasons. Walker has 13 targets over the last 2 weeks, including 8 in week 5, which came on a 20% target share while running a route on 60% of Geno Smith's dropbacks. His route participation on the season is 55.6%, which ranks number 7 among all running backs. And to put that into perspective, he had a 35% route participation rate in 2023 and a 41% in 2022, and that's according to Player Profiler. So this added element to his game, plus the overall improved efficiency and explosiveness of the Seattle offense, could unlock Kenneth Walker and propel him to a top 3 season. Just like I warned before the season, the estimated return for Jonathan Brooks continues to get pushed back. I mean, what incentive do the Panthers really have to put him on the field right now anyway? I mean, sure, I do think we'll see him by the end of the season, but this was really a 2025 play all along. And Chuba Hubbard is thriving in his absence. Chuba Hubbard is the workhorse running back who's dominating the between the tackles work, the red zone work, and the passing downs work. He's averaging 17 carries per game over the last 3 weeks with a 6.7 yards per carry average over that stretch. He also leads all running backs in rushing success rate on the season, according to Marcus Mosher on Twitter. The Chuba Hubbard manager in your league is probably trying to get out right now while the value is high, fearing that Jonathan Brooks could return at any time. I will happily buy because he's going to be underpriced compared to the production he's providing. He'll be incredibly valuable getting through the bye weeks and maneuvering all the injuries that are plaguing fantasy football right now. I would easily take Chuba Hubbard rest of season over guys like Tank Bigsby, Zach Moss, Chase Brown, and Devin Singletary. And if you believe Chuba Hubbard keeps it rolling this week against the Falcons, then you can play this pick'em on Underdog. Lock in your pick now and use promo code YARDSPER to get a free pick and a deposit offer of up to $1,000. That's promo code YARDSPER on Underdog. Let's get it. The value really couldn't be any lower on Achane right now. He's coming off 3 straight games with fewer than 10 fantasy points. The Dolphins' offense is about as bad as any in the NFL right now. The team is on a bye in week 6, and Achane has a concussion. Whatever team drafted him in your league is probably below 500 right now, and they're looking for some immediate help. We can be the hero and save their season while simultaneously setting ourselves up to win the championship. Tua Tagovailoa is reportedly expected to return in Week 8. That would obviously be a major boost for Devon Achane, is really the only reason why we're buying. We all know what Achane did last year, and in Tua's 2 starts to begin 2024, Achane finished as the RB3 and the RB2. The team was using him all over the field, both as a runner and as a receiver. That creativity goes away when you have backup quarterbacks. But Devon Achane reached 100 total yards in both games with Tua. He got 14 passes and he scored twice. Obviously, there's a ton of risk in trading for Devon Achane right now, but the cost is low and the upside is massive. I don't know about you, but I play fantasy football to win championships, and trading for Devon Achane right now could be the championship move of the year. First, it was Braylon Allen, then it was Bucky Irving, and now it's Tank Bigsby, who's the number 2 running back, grabbing the attention of fantasy football gamers all across the world. Bigsby ran the ball 13 times for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns in Jacksonville's Week 5 win over the Colts. So I get it. He out-carried Travis Etienne 13-6. It's exciting, I know. However, if we dig deeper, this doesn't appear to be the backfield takeover that everyone's portraying it to be. I mean, first of all, he did this against one of the NFL's worst defenses. Even DeAndre Swift got going against the Colts a couple weeks ago. But Bigsby only played 39.7% of the snaps. Etienne was just behind at 37.9%, and Dearness Johnson even got in the mix at 22.4%. And after the game, head coach Doug Peterson threw some cold water on the Tank Bigsby hype.
Coach, obviously Tank got his due today, and you used him well down the road. Is that something the team's going to be moving forward to instead of moving to Travis Etienne?
No, not at all. Travis is our guy, and Tank had a good game. It's just the way games go, and happy for Tank. Had great for the offensive line, obviously, in some of those situations there, but no, Travis is our guy, and Tank had a good game today though.
I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a reigning endorsement to me. If we look at it, Tank Bigsby has gotten a lot of his production from a couple of long runs. That included his 65-yarder against the Colts. However, Tank Bigsby is more like a Zach Moss type. I mean, sure, Zach Moss did break off a couple long runs with the Colts last year, but these guys profile as between the tackles grinders who aren't typically going to give you those explosive plays. He also loses value in the passing game. Bigsby was not much of a receiver in college, and he's only got 1 catch on the year. Travis Etienne is going to continue to dominate the passing downs work, even if Tank Bigsby eats into the early downs up. And we saw that in Week 5. Travis Etienne ran 15 routes, Tank Bigsby ran 8. Etienne had a 21% target share, while Bigsby had a 3% target share. I'm going to trust the words of Doug Peterson. I'm going to trust what I've seen from these 2 running backs over the last couple of years and sell Tank Bigsby to the fool in my league who thinks he's about to take over. Fantasy gamers are still riding the high from Marvin Harrison Jr.'s big Week 2 performance. Or should I really say the first quarter of Week 2, because he basically did nothing after that. Since then, Marvin Harrison Jr. has scored as the wide receiver 26, the wide receiver 20, and the wide receiver 59. Outside of Week 2, he has yardage totals of 4, 64, 45, and 36. He's third on the team in receptions behind Trey McBride, who missed a game, and Michael Wilson. His catch rate is below 50%. He's outside the top 30 wide receivers in yards per route run, and he's outside the top 40 in yards per target. And while his dad was a separation specialist, Marvin Harrison Jr. has so far struggled to create separation at the NFL level. According to PlayerProfiler.com, Marvin Harrison Jr. ranks number 83 among wide receivers in average target separation, and he's outside the top 100 in route win rate. And using next-gen stats, Marvin Harrison Jr. ranks dead last in average separation rate. And it's not going to get any easier anytime soon either. The Cardinals' next 5 opponents are the Packers, Chargers, Dolphins, Bears, and Jets. He was a great prospect, and it's only been 5 weeks, but it doesn't look like we're going to get the guy who we thought we were drafting in the early second round in drafts this summer. The fantasy football market has been slow to adjust to that, so you should still be able to get a good return in a trade. I would rather have guys like Jaden Reed, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, and even fellow rookie Brian Thomas Jr. for the rest of the year.